This is a recap and instant reaction of episode 1 of Digimon Beatbreak. So, spoiler warning as we go into episode 1, The Beat of Emotions. We open in a digital landscape similar from the one in the Digimon Adventure 2020 remake or the grid from Tron, where a group of bounty hunters calling themselves Glowing Dawn are chasing down a fun Beamon and its owner, Mitsuo Minazaki, after robbing a watch store. While running after the two culprits, one of the Glowing Dawn members, Reina, pulls out an egg-shaped device, and after placing her hand on it, some QR code appears on the back of her hand, charging up her egg thingy. She then throws it in the air for her Digimon partner Pristimon to devour, which then causes the Meikumon-looking plushie to digivolve into Wolvermon. After a scuffle and Minazaki making Fun Beamon digivolve into Waspmon, another Glowing Dawn member, Kyo Sawashiro, and his partner, Murasamemon appear, doing quick work of the champion-level Digimon, causing him to revert to its in-training form and interrogate Minazaki about what he's done with Kyo's family before taking him into the Ministry of Civil Protection. The next morning, we wake up to find that it's the year 2050, where society is encouraged to achieve their ideal self and live an ideal life which is managed and dictated by those little egg devices that are properly known as Sapotama, an AI smartphone Google Home type device which is powered by human emotions, or what they call e-pulse. Shinomiya Hitomi is running late for school, throws her Sapotama in her bag, not realizing that it just died from low battery, which keeps her from using their version of Apple Pay to catch their train to class. Her clumsy ass drops her Sapotama, but it's caught by Tomuro Tenma, a high school drummer that just wants to dance to the beat of his own drum. After catching the Sapotama, the device is mysteriously fully charged, and when arriving to school, Hitomi's Sapotama starts to malfunction, hacking her class grades, ordering the wrong meal at lunch, and draining her bank account. Hitomi searches the whole school to confront and accuse Tomuro of breaking her Sapotama, which Tomuro admits to, saying that it can happen when he touches a Sapotama because of his e-pulse. The two exchange dialogue about dreams of living in the Shangri-La egg, and that if she follows what her Sapotama says, she'll achieve her ideal self and live there one day. Tomuro tells her that's a weak-ass dream and that he'd rather just hit everything he sees with sticks. We follow Tomuro to his home in the half-sunken side of the neighborhood. He briefly takes a nap and hits us with an Infinity Castle flashback of trying to be as good of a drummer as his brother Asuka. But Asuka tells him to follow his heart and drum his own beat. Tomuro is woken up by Asuka telling him to turn on the news, where we're told that the Ministry of Civil Protection has reported an incident of cold heart, a freezing phenomenon due to a sudden e-pulse drop, and where many witnesses report seeing an unknown creature after the phenomenon. The victim of the recent cold heart incident turns out to be Hitomi, whose Sapotama Tomuro supercharged earlier that day. Asuka thinks something or someone might have picked up on Tomuro's scent. Tomuro blames himself. Asuka says, chill, it's not your fault, but I'll protect you. Tomuro says he's an adult now. Asuka says you can't be an adult and not eat broccoli. Asuka leaves, but not before telling Tomuro to stay inside. Tomuro's Sapotama picks up on his depression, crashes out, which causes the Sapotama to hatch into Gekomon. Gekomon eats Tomuro's Sapotama, begs for more of his e-pulse before trying to take a bite out of him, which then potentially shows us what cold heart is. Gekomon reveals that it knows Tomuro wants to find his classmate Hitomi and tells Tomuro to follow it. Tomuro chases after the lizard-looking Digimon, but then runs into a couple of hyenas from the Lion King-looking Digimon, who also want to devour his e-pulse. Gekomon steps in to protect Tomuro and gets the business. Tomuro runs and gets chased down by one of the hyena Digimon, but is saved by Asuka and his pipe-wielding skills. The two run together, as Asuka says he'll explain everything later, but later doesn't come as one of the hyena Digimon catch up to Asuka and either literally giving him frostbite or causing the cold heart phenomenon. Before plummeting to his alleged end, Asuka tells Tomuro that he's not alone and his pulse will shake the world. The hyena Digimon corner Tomuro, but before they can attack, Gekomon eats Tomuro, and while in Gekomon's belly, tells him that if he gives it more of his e-pulse, it'll be strong enough to beat the two hyenas. Tomuro agrees, presses his QR code onto the Tamagotchi, and supercharges Gekomon, and now the two are ready to give him the business! And that has been your recap of episode 1 of Digimon Beatbreak. So, instant reactions. I'm gonna be saying this a lot, but it's really beautiful and well animated. Okay, so the intro goes crazy. We've got a great classic anime formula of introducing the main team, the team getting into some shenanigans, then a quick silhouette of what looks to be the antagonists, then a mysterious figure or some sort of silhouette of a bad guy. I think the pace of this episode was really well done. Matter of fact, I think the pace is kind of great. They really just throw you into the world, which tells me that they're really just trying to get to the substance of the story they're trying to tell. You get the introduction to Digimon, Digivolutions, you get shown a plot that obviously runs deeper than whatever we're going to be focusing on with the main protagonist. So we're introduced to what I assume is the primary characters and given straightforward intros to their archetypes. You have the quiet guy in the chair, the impulsive and quick to act character, and then the cool, level-headed, balanced leader of the pack. And then the person who knows there must be more to this provincial life, who gets thrown into something that's beyond his understanding, but probably holds some key to helping the other characters. You know, the more that I think about this, the more it starts to sound like Power Rangers Time Force. Okay, also, seeing a Digimon digivolve within the first 5 minutes of an entire series introduction is absolutely wild. But it kind of works for me. I actually kind of think it was a good play for OG Digimon fans and new fans of the series. Like us OG fans are already familiar with Digimon, we know what they do and how they do it. For first timers, it's nice to just kind of throw them into the world and say, this is what's happening, this is the world, this is Digimon, this is what they do. and just accept it. I just appreciate how straightforward it is. And I think that when you're a franchise as well known as Digimon, you don't really need to go through all the buildup again of introducing us to the world, introducing us to what Digimon are, introducing us to the whole format, because we kind of get it. It's kind of like we don't really need to see it again. It's like seeing Uncle Ben get murked for like the millionth time. And we're anime fans. We get the formula. Humans being the main antagonist is actually a really cool concept to me, and some of my favorite stories have come from that. You have Ken, and you have Hypnos and Yamaki, so I actually think that's a pretty cool idea. Why is it giving Team Rocket and Giovanni though? Does it not strike you like that? Okay, so one thing that does stand out to me is that an adult has a Digimon partner. We all know that it's normally just children with the exception of a few characters in the series. I mean, with anime, it's always just children. Isn't it funny how anime always relies on the 10-year-olds to save the world? Dog, I remember when I was 10. You want me to save the world? You want to trust me? Yeah, I don't know, man. I actually think this is really interesting. I'm curious to know what kind of conflicts or events they're going to explore now that adults are involved. Oh my God. Stop. You know exactly what I'm saying. Digimon, you better not. So help me, God. Please. But I feel like, and I'm pretty sure Digimon were originally partnered with children because of their pure potential and all that kind of stuff.
Possibilities are endless.
And I feel like they just kind of threw that concept away. But I'm interested though. I'm here for it. So I think that the concept of the Sapotamas being the new Digivice is an interesting and creative idea, with it essentially being our smartphones, always attached to us all the time. It makes sense. At this point, there just really isn't a need to have an extra device on hand. Now that we have smartphones, I mean, even the Adventure Kids turn their smartphones into Digivices. So there really isn't a need for that second device, right? I mean, when the original series came out in 1999, nobody really had a mobile device, so it would make sense that they would need some sort of digital MacGuffin to transform and power up their Digimon. It just makes sense that they would imbue that concept to the way that Digimon Digivolve and Beatbreak. That being said, I don't really know how I feel about it yet, or if I'm even on board. Yet. Mostly because the egg looks a little too bulky to be an actual mobile device. It's like carrying a small kettlebell everywhere. Also, I just love seeing the new designs of the Digivices and it being otherworldly tech or something. I liked seeing the new concepts. I understand that that's what this is, but I like the otherworldliness of the other devices. I mean, look at this! Look at this! So I see the vision. I just don't know if I'm on board yet. But I'm not down with eating an egg to Digivolve. Now, I guess it makes sense because it gives you enough power to Digivolve, but it's just, the idea is weird to me. But where does the egg go? Or do they just regurgitate it afterwards? Which, on that note, I did notice that when Gekomon shattered out of the egg and hatched, then is just sitting next to Gekomon. That doesn't make sense. Now I'd like that to be answered. Otherwise, what? So observations and questions. So E-Pulse is the manifested energy that comes from human emotions and makes Digimon more powerful. I don't know why, but I feel like there's some sort of commentary there about devices that are powered by your emotions, tell you how to live your life, malfunction when you crash out, and then the egg turns into a monster that wants to eat your emotions. Like Tomoro and Gekomon. There's something in there that I'm missing. So I guess my question is, are all Digimon created that way? And will we see everyone else's crash out? After Tomoro touches that girl's Sapotama, ayo, she gets frozen, ayo. So it sounds like when Tomoro caught her Sapotama, it took his E-Pulse, which caused it to malfunction. So when she took it home, did it turn into a Digimon and then give her the cold heart? When Wasmon was defeated, it reverted back into its in-training form. So in other series, if a Digimon was defeated, it would just get KO'd, or it would die and be reborn again as a Digitama, or it would just get deleted and absorbed by the other Digimon. So that's a cool concept, and it actually makes sense to me because anytime that the main Digimon get defeated, they just revert back to their forms. So I'm interested to see if they'll do anything else with that. We are beyond the original concept of Digimon. So to me, the original concept of Digimon seems to be deliberately forgotten about, which if that is the case, that's totally fine. It's actually probably good for me, so I can just stop seeing it through the lens of that expectation. I can't speak for everyone, but the original concept of Digimon being chosen kids that get brought into the digital world, the whole isekai of it all was really important to me because you see these kids become completely transformed and discover these new characteristics or these new things about themselves that make them feel more empowered, and they're able to bring those concepts or those characteristics into the real world and become new people. I think that was really special for me. That's what made me love Digimon in the first place. So if the concept is different now, that's okay. I just need to stop hanging on to the expectation that every Digimon series is going to be the same, because it obviously is not, and probably enjoy it better. Something else I noticed that Kyo has a very peculiar Kyo has a very interesting style compared to everyone else living in that time period, and his attire looks way too similarly to some of the other silhouetted characters that we saw previously in the intro. So what's going on there? He did mention that he's looking for his family, so I'm wondering if he's connected to the people that are a part of that organization or what's happening with that. I don't know. I'm interested to see about that. Kyo is an interesting character. I'm not totally sold on him yet. There's some sussiness about that, but he's in the intro as a good guy, so we have to take it at face value. Speaking of the intro, did anyone else notice the scar on Kyo's neck when he was revealed? I'm wondering if that has anything to do with anything, or is it just a crazy birthmark? I don't know, but I feel like there's something there. But his clothes are way too similar to the silhouetted baddies to be a coincidence. I'm gonna start looking like this by the end of this. So I'm curious what the story is there. I think one of the biggest questions for me is this series going to be as episodic as Ghost Game was, where they were trying to solve all these mysteries and these scary little incidences that were caused by Digimon? The first thing that we're discovering is this girl has mysteriously been overcome by these symptoms, and Tomura wants to get down to the bottom of it. So if it's gonna be just consistently that, I gotta be honest, not my jam. It's not my jam. I don't like the episodic thing for Digimon because I think then there's not really character growth. And with Digimon and the Digivolutions and the bond that they have that creates the Digivolutions, I don't think that it really serves that concept well. I'm curious if they're gonna do the episodic thing that Ghost Game did, but in this instance, they're just trying to solve these cold heart cases and stop the Sapotama from corrupting and becoming Digimon or bad Digimon. So is the whole thing gonna be case by case? Because if it is, honestly, I think that's gonna be the biggest turnoff. As far as the first episode's concerned, I'm hopeful. I had a blast with it. It's absolutely beautiful. There's obviously plenty of game left. We're just diving in. This has been a big week for Digimon, man. I'm stoked. This is gonna be great. But let me know what you guys think. You guys feel the same way as I do about this? Did you guys have any other thoughts? Are you guys already locked in? Are we already sold? Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you for next week's recap.